Okay, folks, are you ready to jump in to some serious financial waters today?
Oh, yeah. Always ready to dive in.
All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into the world of U.S. interest rates.
Yep.
I think everybody knows this is a topic that a lot of folks find pretty intimidating,
Oh, definitely.
but it's also a topic that affects every single one of us in a big way, whether you realize it or not.
That's for sure.
So today, we're going to be looking at some excerpts from a recent article.
Okay.
And we're going to try to break down exactly how interest rates work,
Right.
why they matter to you,
Yep. Yeah.
and how they impact basically every corner of the U.S. economy.
Sounds good.
So to kick things off, I got to ask, we've got all these different types of interest rates floating around out there.
Right.
Can you break those down for us a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
What are we talking about when we say federal funds rate versus like a mortgage rate?
Right. So, the federal funds rate, that's the one you hear about a lot.
Yeah.
And that's basically the rate that banks charge each other for these super short-term loans.
Okay, so like overnight loans.
Yeah, like overnight loans, exactly.
Okay.
And then you've got the prime rate,
Yeah.
which is kind of like the benchmark that banks use to set interest rates on things like credit cards and other loans.
Right.
And then, of course, you've got mortgage rates, which are super important for anyone looking to buy a house.
Good time.
And then we have treasury yields,
Okay.
which is basically the return you get on investing in U.S. government bonds.
Okay, and these yields are kind of a big deal because
Yeah, they're a big deal.
I remember reading that they can actually influence those mortgage rates that we were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild.
They all kind of work together,
It is interesting how they all kind of feed into one another.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, how all these pieces fit together.
Right. So it seems like, just from that quick rundown,
Yeah.
this stuff impacts pretty much everybody, right?
Right, whether you're a homeowner, a business owner, or just someone trying to save for the future,
It's all tied in.
Exactly. And that's why, it's really important for people to have at least a basic understanding of how interest rates work.
For sure, yeah. If you're thinking about buying a car, buying a house, or even just trying to figure out how to manage your savings account,
Yeah, exactly.
interest rates are a big part of the equation.
Absolutely.
So can we talk about the Federal Reserve for a second?
Sure, yeah.
Because I know they play like a really key role in setting interest rates.
Oh, absolutely.
But why is that? Why do they get to make those decisions?
Well, the Fed's main job is to keep the U.S. economy stable and running smoothly.
Okay.
And one of the main tools they have to do that is adjusting the federal funds rate.
Right.
They're always trying to find the sweet spot
Uh-huh.
where rates are not too high, but not too low.
Yeah.
It's like this balancing act. Like if rates are too high, it can actually stifle economic growth. And if rates are too low, it can fuel inflation,
Right.
where prices start rising too quickly.
Uh-huh.
So it's really a delicate balance.
So they're walking this tightrope constantly.
Yeah, exactly. Constantly making adjustments.
And I think you mentioned earlier that the Fed has actually been raising rates lately, right?
Right. Yeah, they have been steadily raising rates throughout the year in an attempt to control inflation,
Right.
which, has been a major concern lately.
So it's kind of like they're trying to cool the economy down a bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they're hoping that, by raising borrowing costs, people will spend a little less,
Uh-huh.
and that'll help to bring inflation under control.
But the thing is, and this is where our source gets really interesting,
Right.
there are some experts out there who are actually arguing that the Fed might be focused on the wrong things.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so instead of, just sort of blanket raising rates across the board,
Mm-hmm.
they should be looking at the root causes of inflation a little bit more closely.
So, what are they saying are the root causes?
Well, they're arguing that a lot of the inflation we're seeing right now isn't actually being driven by excessive demand,
Oh, okay.
like people just spending too much money.
Uh-huh.
They're saying it's more about supply chain issues.
Okay. Interesting.
All those disruptions we've seen over the past few years.
Makes sense.
And they're saying that, if the Fed keeps raising rates aggressively without addressing those supply chain problems,
Right.
it could actually end up pushing the economy into a recession.
Wow. Okay, so they're saying that the Fed's actions could actually backfire.
Yeah, that's exactly their concern.
I see.
They're basically saying, hey, raising rates might cool demand a little bit,
Uh-huh.
but if the problem is on the supply side,
Yeah.
then you're just making it harder for businesses to produce and transport goods.
Right. That makes sense.
And that could lead to even higher prices in the long run.
Yeah.
So they're advocating for more targeted solutions,
Oh, okay. Interesting.
like maybe investing in infrastructure to improve supply chains
That makes sense.
or providing more support to businesses that are struggling with those disruptions.
Yeah.
So it's a really fascinating argument.
Absolutely. Very interesting.
And it really highlights how complex this whole issue is.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's no easy fix.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely not. It's a lot of moving parts.
It is. And so, we've talked about the Fed's role. We've talked about the different types of interest rates.
Right.
How does all of this actually affect people on a day-to-day level?
Okay, well, let's think about it. Let's say you're thinking about buying a house.
Okay.
Well, higher mortgage rates mean your monthly payments are going to be higher.
Makes sense.
Maybe you're looking to buy a car.
Right.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Higher interest rates mean higher monthly payments
Right.
if you're a business owner
Uh-huh.
and you need to take out a loan to expand your business. Higher interest rates mean higher borrowing costs, which can really eat into your profits.
Wow.
And then on the flip side, if you've got money sitting in a savings account,
Okay.
higher interest rates should mean that you're earning more interest on your savings.
Right. Which sounds good.
Right, which sounds good in theory.
Right.
But, often the rates that banks pay on savings accounts don't keep pace with the rate at which the Fed is raising interest rates.
Oh, interesting.
So you might not see as much of a benefit as you'd expect.
Oh, it's not always a win-win situation.
Exactly. It's complicated.
I think this whole conversation highlights just how complicated it all is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the most important takeaway for our listeners today is just to be aware.
Right, yeah.
Interest rates are constantly changing.
Yep.
And they have a ripple effect on so many different aspects of our lives.
Absolutely.
So, whether you're thinking about buying a house or starting a business,
Or even just managing your everyday finances.
it's important to stay informed about what's happening with interest rates.
For sure. And, do your research. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah,
There are a lot of great resources out there to help you learn more about this stuff.
absolutely.
And, the more you know, the better equipped you'll be to make smart financial decisions.
Well said. I think that's a fantastic note to end on.
Yeah.
So, to all of our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the wild and wacky world of U.S. interest rates.
It was fun.
It was, and, hopefully you've learned a thing or two today.
Hopefully.
But remember, the learning never stops, so keep exploring, keep asking questions.
Yeah, stay curious.
And maybe one day you'll be the one setting those interest rates.
You never know.
Until next time, stay informed and stay financially savvy.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
All right, see you later.
See ya.